Hi friends, Valerie Turner with Close to My Heart, and I am super excited for you to join me today for our One Sheet Wonder Christmas Cards Made Easy. Just a couple of notes before we get started. First, I would suggest that maybe you would want to watch this video through the first time, and then when you're ready to craft along, you can pause the video in order to complete each step of the process. Second, there is a baggie of poinsettias, and they are labeled top and bottom. You do want to keep them separate, so don't open them and dump them out on your craft table until we are ready. Next, let's take a look at what comes in this fun kit. I can't wait to create these beautiful cards with you. You'll have a handout in your kit that has all of my contact information at the top. It also includes the additional items that you'll need to gather together before creating these cards. You'll have your One Sheet Wonder cutting pattern as well as the additional cardstock, and along the bottom, join my Val's Happy at Heart Facebook group for more classes, tips, and techniques. You will also have your shimmer brush, your ink, your stamp set, your poinsettias, some bling, your card bases, envelopes, and the paper needed. Now we'll want to grab our shimmer brush and a piece of scrap paper. Shimmer brushes are so fun to add just the right amount of shimmer, sparkle, and shine to all of your projects, and it looks beautiful on our poinsettias. But there's a couple of things we need to do to get our shimmer brush ready. Once you have removed that yellow ring, we're going to prime our shimmer brush. See where it says press? We're going to go ahead and press there onto the scrap piece of paper until we see the shimmer. Now our shimmer brush is ready to use. Look at that shimmer and shine. A tip with the shimmer brush is that you always want to remove the lid by pulling it straight up, not twisting, because it could open the barrel and cause it to leak. Have you seen the new Close to My Heart tool caddy? I love this new caddy for organizing all the tools that I'm going to need for my project right at hand. Now we are ready to grab our poinsettias, and don't forget there are two separate bags, one marked top and one marked bottom, and you will want to keep them separate. Let's pull out one from each bag to start. There might be a little bit of cleanup that we will want to do on these. Your embossing stylus or a piercing tool will help with that. Next, we'll want to grab the foam sheet that's in our stamp set. Not only is this sheet going to be great for stamping, it's also going to help us to bring these poinsettias to life. You are going to be amazed. So here you can see I'm popping out those little pieces that need to come out of our poinsettias. The Close to My Heart paper is two-sided, even our cardstock. So here I'm choosing the lighter side on the top and the darker side on the bottom. From the Cricut, these poinsettias are really flat, right? But with the stylus, we are going to add dimension and texture to bring these poinsettias to life. Can you see how it's already adding so much dimension? So what I did was I added a line down the middle of each of these leaves, and I am drawing the little lines out for the veins. You will want to be sure to hold it in the middle so that you don't tear your poinsettia. Look at how fun that is. Again, be sure you keep your top and your bottom separate, and I have the top as the lighter shade and the bottom as the darker shade. So again, I'm holding it in the middle. Can you see how it's bringing up those leaves? And I'm drawing those lines out down the center and then adding the little lines out to the edge of each of those leaves. It adds so much texture and dimension. It really brings these poinsettias to life and makes such a difference than just having them flat. Another tip is once you've drawn your lines, turn your poinsettia over and draw a little circle with the tip of your embossing stylus at the tip of each of the leaves. See how it's then curling the leaves up in the other direction. Next, we're going to grab our glue dots in order to put these two pieces together. A little tip with glue dots is to tie a string around. That way it doesn't unravel and you always know where your next glue dot is. So these poinsettias, you're going to put them together in a little bit of an offset, right? And look at how fun that is. Look at how much dimension we have created just by these simple little techniques. Next, we're going to place a gem in the center of each of our poinsettias. Now we are ready to start our second poinsettia. Hold it in the center and draw your lines out. Look at that dimension and then the little veins. I put 3 of them on each one, right? Top and bottom. Make sure that you have them each a different color, so the darker red on one and the lighter red on the other. Draw the little circles on the back. See how that brings those tips down to create even more dimension. We're going to grab our glue dot and then put them in an offset. Lastly, we're going to grab some bling and add that to the center. You will want to do this with all 12 of your poinsettias. So this might be a great place to pause the video and complete that step and come back once you're done. But before we do that, I wanted to tell you that this is also a great technique to use for other Cricut cuts or even stickers. Remove the sticky from the back and you can add the dimension just the same. Think about a truck and adding the wheels or other fun things. Now we are ready to start cutting. So grab your cutting guide and your patterned paper, and we are first going to cut our zip strip. The Close to My Heart paper is 12 by 12 with this additional 1/2 inch zip strip at the top. So we're going to cut that zip strip and set it aside because we are going to use it in a moment. Our next cut is going to be 5 1/4 by 4. Okay, so 5 1/4, rotate, and then cut by 4, 4, 2, and 2. Our next cut is going to be by 4, rotate, cut 3, 3, 3, and lastly 3. Our next cut is going to be 2 1/4. We're going to rotate, we're going to cut 2 1/4, 2 1/4, 2 1/4, and that last piece should be 5 1/4. Now we're going to take 2 of our squares and we're going to cut them on a diagonal. I have my paper in a diamond shape and I'm lining up the top and the bottom point on the track of my cutter. Next, we're going to take our 2 1/2 inch strips and we're going to cut them by 5 1/2. So you should have 4 strips that are 1/2 by 5 1/2, and you will have 2 tiny little pieces of scrap that are left over at the end. Now we are ready to start cutting our colored cardstock, and I gave you both candy apple red and pine so that you had choices. You're going to need 9 of the 2 3/4 by 2 1/4 and 1 of the 2 1/4 by 2 1/4. And I will show you in a minute why you only need 9 versus 11. I only did a couple of green ones, but I would probably do 5 of the red and 4 of the green, and I would do the 2 1/4 by 2 1/4 in the red. For the white cardstock, you're going to need 9 2 1/2 by 2 and 1 2 by 2. Now we're ready to start cutting our glitter paper. A little tip here is I always date my blade on my cutter, and then when my blade starts to go bad, I add a G on my blade, and I use that G blade for cutting glitter paper. For the glitter paper, you have lots of choices. I gave you a half sheet, which is more than what you'll need. For most of mine, I did a quarter strip by either 4 or a quarter strip by 5 1/4, depending on the orientation of the card. But I also did one that was 1 inch by 4 for that first card. So again, you can choose how you want to cut your glitter paper and embellish your cards. Another tip here is that when you're cutting glitter paper, the front of the glitter paper is kind of rough, right? And that is kind of rough on your blade. So if you turn your glitter paper over and cut from the back, it's a little bit easier on your blade. I love the quality of the Close to My Heart glitter paper because it does not flake off even when you cut it. It cuts beautifully on both your paper trimmer and a Cricut. So what I'm doing here is I am cutting a handful of 1/4 inch strips so that when I complete my cards, I'll decide on the orientation of my card and then what size I need these cut down to, whether they'll be by 4 or whether they'll be by 5 1/4. And as I said, I'm also going to do one of these at 1 inch for card number 1. You'll have lots of leftover glitter paper if you choose to add additional glitter to your cards. I did include in the directions that you needed 11 of the colored cardstocks, but here's why you only needed 9. I chose to stamp the sentiments of 2 cards right on the card base versus matting them, but I wanted you to have the instructions for future. Our next step is stamping. So you're going to want to grab your stamp set, remove that foam sheet, and carefully remove your stamp from the carrier sheet. Place it on the clear black, and we're going to season our stamp set. There are 3 ways to season your stamp set. Number 1 is just as I did with rubbing it on my hand. Number 2 is the rub and remove eraser. And number 3 is to ink it up and stamp it on a scrap piece of paper several times. If you notice that your stamp looks bubbly when you ink it or is not stamping clearly, that often means that you need to season it. With words like this, it's not so noticeable, but if your stamp set is large and solid, you will notice the need for seasoning it even more. Going to clean our stamp with our stamp chamois, and we are ready to start stamping. You will have a mini pine ink in your kit, but I am using my larger ink pad. We're going to start with the 2x2 square, and you're going to put this in a diamond shape, stamping it on the diagonal. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and ink that up and stamp it right down in the center there. Look at how fun that is. Now we're going to stamp our 2.5x2 white pieces, and you will have 9 of these. Don't forget you can pause this video at any time to complete a step. Next, we're going to fold all of our card bases in half. Here you can see how each of these cards is going to match up with our cutting diagram. Now that we've finished our prep work, we are ready to start assembling our cards. I have the Close to My Heart all-purpose mat here on the side of my Versamat that I like to use for all of my adhesive. I have the Close to My Heart Versamat to help me to line up all of my pieces. I have such a hard time, my friends, keeping things straight these days, and the Versamat is perfect for that. It has grid lines on one side and it has a stamp cushion on the other. If you like to ink the edges of your paper, here are 2 ways that I'm showing you that you can do that, either with our blending brushes or with the ink pad directly to the paper. The Close to My Heart paper is 2-sided. So you get to choose if you want the red side or the green side. Now remember, we cut some strips of our glitter paper, right? And once we knew the orientation of our cards, we would trim them later. So that's what I'm doing here. I chose to have this one 1 inch by 4 inches. On each of the cards, you'll get to decide whether you want to use the red or the green backing. I like to add some foam tape on the back of my sediments as well as the poinsettias, and you'll see here I'm doing some inking on my sediment piece. I am not going to do that for the sake of the video on all of the cards, but you can feel free to pause the video and do that. Do the inking on yours. I'm going to add here the sentiment and then a poinsettia. I'm adding some foam tape behind the poinsettia as well. Next, we're going to add our bling, and I like to add bling in odd numbers and in a triangular pattern. So here you can see we've created that triangle. Lastly, we're going to add some shimmer to our poinsettia. Look at how shimmery. Now we are ready to start assembling the next card, and we're going to do this one just the same, but you noticed I turned it over for the green pattern, and I'm also adding in the glitter slightly different this time. So I'm using a 1/4 by 5 1/4 piece. I'm choosing to mat this one on the red, but again, you can use red or green. I gave you plenty of both color. Adding some dimension behind our mat as well as behind the poinsettia, and we're adding in our bling in a triangle slightly different this time. Next, we're going to grab our 2 pieces that are 5 1/4 by 2, and again, if you choose to ink around the edges, you can do that, and you can also choose to have these cards either vertical or horizontal. So many choices, my friends. You choose what is best for you. So here I chose to have this one vertical, and I chose the red side up with a green mat, adding some dimension behind my mat and my poinsettia. And then we are ready to add our bling. Again, always in an odd number and triangular shape. Next, we add our shimmer brush. Now, I did not complete the second card this same way on the video, but you can pause the video and complete the next card. Now, moving on to our next card, we are going to grab our 4 pieces of 4 by 3. And again, there's lots of choices here how you want to design these. You can use the red side, the green side, vertical or horizontal, and you can put the glitter paper where you choose, my friends. So here you see how I am assembling this one and adding the bling in a triangular shape. Don't forget the shimmer. It makes such a difference to add that shimmer and shine to all of our projects. Now on this next piece, I know that it is not included in your kit. Well, I did give you plenty of the pine cardstock, but here I'm showing you how I love a one-sheet wonder as a starting point, and you can build on it from there. So for example, here I used another layer of cardstock and a layer that I embossed with our Christmas floral embossing folder to add that extra level to a one-sheet wonder. So a one-sheet wonder can be simple, or it can be a starting point for more creativity. So I'm completing this card in just the same fashion, but adding that extra layer, bling in a triangle shape, adding your shimmer, adding our glitter, and all of the fun things. You will be able to complete the other cards of this design off video, but keep in mind that I did do one of them vertical and the other horizontal, but you get to choose how you would like to complete them. One Sheet Wonder patterns go together so quickly, allowing you to create many cards in a short amount of time. Now we're ready to start doing our triangular cards here, and you're going to need your stamp set and your stamp cushion because we are going to stamp directly to the card base for these two cards. Now I know that the Versamat has a stamp cushion on the other side, but because I already have my Versamat set up in the camera, I didn't want to move it and flip it over just for the stamp cushion, so I grabbed the little cushion to put underneath it. We're going to take the large strips of glitter paper and trim them down for the space next to our triangles here. We're going to add our shimmer to our poinsettias and add our bling in a triangular shape. I just love how this comes together. You'll be able to complete the other triangle card off camera. For this card, we have choices. You can either use the zip strip, which has the name of the paper on one side and a pattern on the other, or you can use the patterned paper that we've been using on all the other cards. And you'll see that I chose to use the zip strip. If you weren't using Close to My Heart paper, you wouldn't have this bonus zip strip, right? And you would be using the regular patterned paper that we've been using on all the other cards. So this card is fun with that extra zip strip and how we're putting together this with these diamond shapes. I just love this pattern. For this card, you're using the 2 1/4 by 2 1/4 colored cardstock and the 2 by 2 white cardstock and layering these diamond shapes in the center of this card. I did look at bringing some glitter in here, but I'll be honest, I thought it was too much, so I chose not to add glitter to this card. I'm adding some foam tape to the poinsettia and putting it in the center of our red plaid piece. Next, we're going to add our shimmer to the poinsettia, and let's not forget our bling. Now this card, I decided to put 5 of the gems instead of 3. So again, in an odd number, because you always want to add your embellishments in an odd number, and creating a triangle. So I'm going to start by putting 2 below our sentiment, and then I'm going to add 2 more up by the poinsettia where I create that triangle. I just felt that this balanced it out. Now we're moving on to the next card. This is our 5 1/4 by our 2 piece. And again, if you wanted to ink the edges of your paper, you can do that. And again, you can choose to have it red or green. Add your glitter paper. As you can see, I'm just straightening it up because the last piece I cut on an angle. I'm adding that here just above my green piece, adding our mat and our sentiments. Next is our poinsettia. I'm adding some foam tape behind it and adding our gems. Don't forget the shimmer brush. Now, my friends, we have completed all 12 cards in our One Sheet Wonder. I hope that you have enjoyed these techniques as well as this One Sheet Wonder pattern. Did you know that Close to My Heart has SVG files or digital art collections? The poinsettias that I cut for all of these cards came from our Home for Christmas digital art collection. These SVG files can be used with the Cricut or the Silhouette for cutting. In addition, you can cut a completed scrapbook layout or card, or you can cut each item individually in any size that you choose. We have several different digital art collections, one for each of our featured paper collections. You can find them all on my website, even for retired papers. I wanted to take a moment and show you this stamp set, B1815. Whether you are a new stamper, card maker, or have been stamping for years, this is a great stamp set to create additional one-sheet wonder patterns with all different types of paper. You can make birthday, you can make thank you can make thinking of you. This stamp set is available on my website, as well as some of these other fun papers that I also thought would make some great one-sheet wonder patterns. Save this pattern and recreate your one-sheet wonder cards all year long with different papers for all occasions. Be sure to join my Facebook group, Val's Happy at Heart Paper Crafting, for more tips, techniques, and classes. Have you seen our new November-December idea book that is filled with all kinds of great things for the holiday season and more, as well as our annual catalog? Be sure to check it out on my website. Here's a little peek into our November-December idea book with our featured November paper collection, Silver Bells. This paper is beautiful with its gold and silver accents and these nice gems that coordinate well with it. We have our workshop your way for both scrapbooking and cards for the Silver Bells collection. Next is our evergreen paper collection. I just love the greens and the music notes and the pine cones for this beautiful paper collection. It also has a workshop card kit and layout kit. This paper is absolutely stunning for all of your winter and holiday cards and layouts. Look at these trees. These trees would be perfect for all year long. Have you seen all of the layering stamp sets and stencils that we have in our new catalog? These allow you to stamp and then add the different color layers with the stencils, or this one here with the embossing folder and stencils. I've been having so much fun with these layers. Who do you know that snowboards or skis? So many great options for winter. Speaking of winter, have you seen our Gnomes for Winter collection? This winter collection is so fun with the gnomes, thin cuts, and stamp set. There's card workshops, scrapbook workshops, and of course the paper. And the best thing about this collection is, with the Close to My Heart two-sided paper, it can be gnomes or not gnomes, and you get to choose. Some of our other current specials are Joy of the Season card making kit, as well as our Deck the Halls ornament collection, which is super fun. You get to create all of these different types of ornaments using SVG files and the wooden ornaments. Thanks a Bunch is our November Stamp of the Month, and as a VIP customer, you can get this Stamp of the Month free with a $50 order. We have kicked off VIP Extra Credit Special. That's right, brand new VIPs this month are going to receive an instant $25 shopping spree on my website. VIPs also receive 15% credit back on all orders, a free Stamp of the Month each month with a $50 order, and I personally give a 25% sale day, one day a month, where VIPs with me are going to receive not only the 15% from Close to My Heart, but an additional 25% from me. We have several VIPs in the Val's Happy at Heart paper crafting group, and to you, I am offering a free gift with every new VIP you refer to me this month. So who do you know that's going to love the VIP customer program just as much as you? If you are not already a member of my Val's Happy at Heart paper crafting group, be sure you join now for all of the fun. Thanks for joining me today for our Christmas cards made easy with our one sheet wonder. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to you and your family. I hope that you have a fabulous holiday season.